Hello everyone, welcome back to the Man Cave. Today we are working on something that's not so much a little bit different, but it is a little bit different, but we're going to get to actually utilize some of this stuff that I've been setting up for a while to do what I had originally intended for it to do, and that's to make some parts, to actually really make some, some parts. This is not directly for the Cyclone, but it is going to end up getting us there. Actually, I have a friend of mine, a good friend, known him for most of my life, that has retired from the paint and body business, but he has agreed to assist me in doing the paint and body work on the Cyclone. He knows the car. He knew the original owner of the car, and he has agreed to help me with it however I need. He may even come here and do some stuff, so if he does, we'll try to get some of that on camera. But phenomenal paint and body guy, does some absolutely beautiful work. I told him I actually wanted to kind of paint it, but I don't know jack about it. So he told me to, when I got ready to, that we could carry it over to his shop, put it in his booth, and he would show me what to do and let me spray it. I may end up letting him still spray it, but I would actually love to be able to do it. But this gentleman here, he actually acquired a car that I had built probably 15, 20 years ago. And when I finished with the car, it's a Ford Maverick, and I did a front end conversion on it. I did a Mustang 2 style front end, but it ended up using the stock upper and lower control arms. I was not a fan of it then, but that's what the customer wanted to go with, so that's what I did. But it was just supposed to be strictly drag racing. Well, this gentleman here now is going to put it back on the street. And one of the issues that we have is we're running a coilover shock and spring on the front. And the car just sits way too low for him in the front. I like the way it looks. Don't tell him that. But he wants it a little bit higher, so that's what we're going to work on for him. So what I've done was I actually took a couple of pictures of it. I did not do a 3D scan, but I took a top picture and a side picture of the control arm and got some dimensions and imported it into Fusion 360. And hey, let's take a look at what we did to design that now. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through real quick on how I managed to design this part in Fusion 360 without the need of 3D scanning. So let me open the file up here. It's going to make it a little bit easier for us. I'm not going to try to redesign this part. We're just going to open up the one that I currently have and go from there. So let me turn some of this stuff off so that we can kind of walk through it. So what I did was I actually brought the part in through canvas. I laid the part down on a flat surface. I take my cell phone. I've got a little cheap level thing. It's like a bubble level. It's round. Set it on top of my cell phone to make sure I get a good level square picture of the item that I want to do. Once I have 1, 2, 3, 12 dozen pictures, whatever you want to insert in. Once you have your pictures done and uploaded, you can click on the insert function and then go to where you have the file saved, and then you can select insert. Now once you insert it, once it's inserted, you get this. Let's look at it from the top. And the pictures, I just took it with my cell phone. It's not a 3D scan. It is just a two-dimensional picture. You can see here looking at it from the side. That's what you get. But what you can do is you can come here on the picture, right click, and then calibrate. It kind of goes this color. You can pick a spot that you have measured that you know what the dimensions are. So I picked like here and here, and I know mine is roughly 60 millimeters center to center. When I set that scaled out this whole picture. Everything was scaled, everything looked good. I'm loving it. We're good, we're golden. So that's done. I started creating sketches. So my first sketch that I created was, I can come down here, we can click on the sketch. This is the sketch feature that I ended up sketching out with my dimensions and stuff that I generated, based off my drawing, which got me pretty close. This is not the first sketch that I did. The nice thing about parametric modeling is that you can go back in time, make changes, and it changes everything to the future. So we've got the first sketch done. So you can see it kind of on top of that model there. And then once we did the extrusion, you can see what the actual bodies look like. So this is what the body ended up looking like on the side. Now, again, this is a 2D model. So if we want to finish, designing out what we need to do, we need to bring in the next picture. So here's the next picture. I brought it in. Now what I did was I actually drew a center line through this bushing back here so I could line it up on this view and to get us the center view. Now I brought this picture in and I didn't want to do a whole bunch of trying to move things around and get it exactly right, but this plane here, actually I wanted it a little bit lower. I want it almost flush with this. But what I did, instead of trying to move all that around, was whenever I dimensioned this, whenever I calibrated it and got my calibration where I wanted it, I actually took this hole and just moved it up whatever that distance was there. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you'll be able to see right here in the sketches in just a second. Let's see, there we go. There's one of the side plate. You can see where I moved this hole up, and then that put everything on line. Now I did kick this hole back a little bit. I did not go 90 degrees straight off of this because I wanted this hole to set back a little, because this arm is actually going to have a little bit more down angle to it. So as with more down angle, I wanted to bring this hole closer to the shock to try to keep everything more in line of where it would be at down here, if that makes sense. Now you can kind of look at it in a 3D view if you would like. 3D-esque view, I guess you would say. It's two-dimensional, but looks kind of three-dimensional. But that's how you can create something like this without having a 3D scanner. Yeah, that's how we did that. If you would like more detailed instructions, or if you would like me to actually walk through importing this picture, a picture in and designing a part off of it, from start to finish, drop some comments down below and I'll be happy to do that. Maybe we can even do something in a comparison, but between that and a 3D scan. But I am not, I'm not a Fusion 360 aficionado. I mean, I'm stumbling through this stuff and watching other people do YouTube videos on this just like anyone else. But this is how I managed to stumble my way through this design, and stick around to the end of the video and you'll see if it worked or not. All right, so now that you've seen that, that took me a little while, but just getting everything situated, it probably would have been a little bit easier if I would have 3D scanned it, but I didn't, and I wanted to try this to see how it worked, and I think it worked well. I mean, we're getting ready to find out. So as I showed you in that video, I was able to save the drawings and export them out as a DXF. And what that has allowed me to do is import them into Lightburn. And what I do, I use the Lightburn to make my DXF file for burning it on the CNC plasma. So that's what we're going to actually end up doing. But I'm sitting here at the laser because we're going to set this up on the laser, cut it out of cardboard first, because that's a whole lot cheaper than metal, and it's going to be a little bit quicker and less cleanup and less mess. And we're gonna test fit it on the control arm. So fortunately, I hope this comes through pretty good for you. We'll try to get it. I don't have screen recording on this computer in here. I need to get it set up, but I don't. So we're just going to show you. But anyway, these are the parts that I designed in Fusion 360. I exported them as a DXF file, imported them into Lightburn. I had to do a little cleanup because when you export it out of Fusion 360, you actually have to export out the sketch. And when you export out the sketch, any extra sketch lines or anything that you have in that sketch is going to show up on here. So I had to just, get rid of some of those, which was no problem. We did the cleanup. We brought all the parts in. What we have here is the top plate that's going to weld on top of the control arm itself. This is actually going to go where the spring perch goes, as I showed you in the last in the Fusion 360 stuff. These are the two side pieces, and these are actually a couple of spacers to get us back in line. So what I've done is I've got a piece of cardboard actually set up on the laser. It's not quite 1/8 inch thick, so I'm going to do 2 burns to cut 4 of these out so I can get a good feel of the actual size. But what we're at, one of the things, when we set up the camera and stuff, I wanted to do that because everything was supposed to help. So what I've done is I've set up the camera, and as you can see it here, it actually shows on the screen here where my material is. Now if I click show over here, boom, it's going to show it up on this. Now I had a piece on there a little bit earlier, so let's update the overlay. Okay, there we go. So this is the piece of material I've got on there that we're going to cut these brackets out of. And yeah, so let me get you set up so you can watch the laser, watch your eyes so you don't get hurt, and we'll turn this sucker on and let it eat. Okay, so I'm going to throw a couple of magnets down to help hold this thing so the wind don't blow it around. And one of the nice things is I can look at this on the screen and see where I can put my magnets at and not have any issues, which I know I should be able to go right about there. And if I'm concerned about them being in the wrong place, I can come back and do a trace overlay update and make sure that my magnets and stuff are going to be out of the way, which I should be completely out of the way, but we're going to update it real quick and see. It's going to come over to there. I'm going to set my gauge block up. I don't use the automatic height adjuster on here because I don't remember if I've said in any of the other videos or not, but there's some issues, inherent issues with that. It's just best to just set it up with this. And if you're doing some burns, engraving is really precise. You really need to be in just the right spot. For cutting, not quite as precise. So here we go. Now the really nice thing about having that camera is if I was to take this out, now that it's done, if I was to take this thing up and I was like, oh crud, it's not quite right, I can position it back by the camera. It did not seem like it went quite through, so I'm going to run a second pass on it, which I can do that right now just because it's where it's at. If I would slowed my feed rate down some, it probably would have done it, but I haven't done much cutting out of cardboard to know. But I can see my parts dropping out, so 2 passes would have worked, or I probably could have cut my feed rate just about in half, which would not have been slow by any means, but or up my power a little more. I'm still learning this, but it is great to have this thing to do this type of stuff if you're, you know, looking at doing some custom parts and pieces. If I was still in a production fab shop doing, I would definitely have something like this that I could do my parts out of. So let's see how it does. Oh yeah, everything broke loose, so we're good to go. I'll take my magnets off. So yeah, there's the cardboard. Got my 2 spacers here that's going to go on the inside. Everything drops out really nice and neat. So there we go. There we have it. So yeah, let's go over to the welding bench now, and I'll show you what this is going to look like. So we've got the other set of parts cut out. So this is, I've already machined this one down, and all I've done is, you could do it with a grinder. You don't have to have a milling machine to do this with, but it was just simpler, easier, and just about as fast for me to set it up in the milling machine. I still got to do the other one. I may take a video of that here in a second. But this is the stock control arm. The stock shock mounts way down in here. We wanted about 2 more inches of height out of this thing, so that's why we went this route, or why I'm going this route. And the cool thing about it is what I just did on the laser, I can just take that information, throw it into plasma, and we're good to go. So, only reason why I'm having to double these up again is to get us right at that the thickness that we want to be for our actual part. So we'll look at our control arm here. We'll figure out which way it's got to go. So it's kind of got to go like this. Let's see if I got something here I can put underneath this so you can see. So this is going to end up welding on here like so. I still got to dress it up some. These will, I made these cutouts here so that this will have a nice little way to set and lock into place. And this will fit over on both sides. So this fits in here. That bolt, you can still put a bolt and a nut through there to help hold it in place, but we're going to weld it here also. But we do want some, some rigidity on it. So actually what we'll end up doing is taking grinding a little bit. I'll throw a tack weld on each side of this once we get it in place. And the other ones fit on the other side the same way. Now, next step is to actually burn these parts out on the plasma table. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'll turn you around, we'll get on the plasma, and we'll throw this file in sheet cam, and then we will get it loaded into Mach 3 and see if we can cut some goodies out of steel and get it on here now that we know that it's going to fit and work the way it should. And that's pretty much what we've got. Pretty simplistic. Okay, as you can see on the screen here, we've got the Mach 3 up and running for sheet cam, for the plasma cutter. Brought the first piece into sheet cam. You can set these up to do multiple parts at a time, but I've been having a heck of a time getting my my plasma dialed in. If somebody knows some other software other than sheet cam and Mach 3 or Mach 4, I'm open to that also. Something that's simpler, because I usually end up spending an hour or two getting my settings right, and a lot of it is simply because I do not do this every day. But anyway, we got some parts cut. I've got them over on the bench cooling off. I'm going to reset the camera so you can watch it, but yeah, the only thing I have to do right now is I have to play with my actual feeds. I need to change my hole settings and that kind of stuff that I have set up but to get this cut out and done for right now, I'm gonna leave it where it's at, because my hole settings are a little too slow and my straight line cuts are a little too fast. So I get those done and I think we'll be on par. Okay, I made a couple of tweaks to my hole settings, so we're going to give it a shot. Like I said, I may have to pay with my feed rates a little bit, but as long as we can get these pieces cut out and get them on, that's I'm happy with that. But I hope I'm getting closer to getting this thing dialed in. So let's fire this puppy up and let's see what happens. Sweet, that actually turned out pretty good. My smaller hole diameter, I think I need to speed that up a little bit still. We got one more piece to cut. We'll see how that works, but hey, man, I'm tickled to death with that. So let's get the other piece cut out and then we'll cut the two base pieces, and then hopefully we can start welding some stuff together. All right, so we got our pieces cut out. I went ahead and prepped the control arms here and got them all fitted up, set up. So as you can see, this is what the finished product should look like. Again, I'm going to weld these on. I would highly recommend, if you're using a stamped steel arm, that you go with a setup like this. I mean, if if somebody's interested, I'll be happy to make some more. If not, make something for yourself. But if you're going with the stamped steel arm, all your load on your shock and spring, if you're running a coilover, correct that. If you're running a coilover, all your load is on this center bolt that's on this arm. This arm was designed for a spring to sit in this pocket and the shock just to dampen your motion. So your weight is actually designed to be on this, not on the two bolts here, or the one bolt that goes all the way through. I think you would end up with a lot of twist and flex, but doing it this way with this plate that'll be welded to where the spring would actually mount, and then the ability to put the shock here, I think it's going to distribute the weight throughout the whole arm the way it should be, and I don't think you'll have any adverse reactions to driving. I think it'll be more reliable setup than what you would have with just putting a coilover on it. Anyway, like I said, if somebody wants to purchase these, send me a message and I'll be happy to get with you as far as that little kit goes. But yeah, so we're going to get these welded on real quick and I'll show you what it looks like when it gets done. We got the control arms done. Got them all welded up. I got a coat of primer on them, black primer. Cut them out a couple of spacers in case he needs those. This is an excellent alternative if you have a street rod or a race car or anything that has a Mustang 2 style, factory style lower control arm. Even the Cyclone has this same control arm on it. So I mean, they use this style control arm on a whole lot of other vehicles. So if you wanted to do a coilover suspension and wanted that extra height out of it, this is a great way to go with it. That's wrapped up. We're going to get them back to him so he can get them back on the car. If you liked what you've seen in this video and you want to see more content like this, like and subscribe and drop me a line and let me know, and we'll see if we can kind of redirect our attention towards more fabrication stuff if that's what you want to see. We'll definitely have more of that coming on the Cyclone because, you know, that's going to be a custom chassis and all that kind of good stuff. So I'll have a little bit more design stuff. We'll do some more 3D scanning on the car. I've been scanning some things, trying to get some stuff put together. And as far as, you know, meshes and stuff, so we can get some information to start designing all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you want to see, and yeah, we've got some other content coming for a couple of other little projects that I've done other than the Cyclone that's been in the queue for me to edit, and I'm just lazy and I haven't felt like it. Truth. So I'll get around to getting that stuff edited and we'll see if we can get it uploaded and you know, keep checking back. Anyway, I hope y'all had a great one. I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, just let me know what y'all want to see and I'll try to get it out there. You know, and we're going to focus a little bit more back on the Cyclone because that is a project I'd like to get wrapped up this summer if possible. So anyway, y'all have a blessed day and hope to see you in the next video.